All right, so with this kind of practice assignment for the pen tool, we're going to use actually Photoshop, even though when you think of the pen tool, you are more commonly thinking of Illustrator as far as using that tool goes. But we are going to practice in Photoshop because a lot of the shortcuts that you have to use in Photoshop in order to make the pen tool kind of work more efficiently will work in Illustrator. So I think it's a good place to kind of start with and use it in Photoshop. So you will download the image that's provided in the assignment in Canvas, and then you will open that image in Photoshop. Should be in the P's, so this Pexels Photo 1. You're going to open that up, and really all that we are shooting for is to create an outline with a fill for our book that's on here. Now with the pen tool, you want to use as few anchor points as possible. So if you were to use the polygonal lasso tool, which when people with experience in Photoshop would kind of think that if they wanted to make a selection of this, they would use the polygonal lasso tool and they would make a bunch of clicks, thus a bunch of anchor points going around the book until they got all the way done, and then they had their selection. We are going to try to get used to the idea of using the pen tool, which is kind of the opposite. You want to use as few anchor points as possible, thus giving you a much smoother line artwork, transitions, all of that. And the key of doing that is to not be afraid of the handles and to kind of understand what is happening when you are using the pen tool. So if we hit P on the keyboard, that'll take us to the pen tool. Right up here, we want that to make sure that it's a shape. And here we will see like a fill and a stroke. The stroke we can go ahead and leave as black. But the fill, we're going to turn that off for right now. That way it does not cover up your area that you were trying to trace. So if we come in here and then we zoom in a little bit, and our goal is to use as few anchor points as possible. So I believe that I can get from here all the way to here only using 3 anchor points. Even though there are S-curves, there's this curve kind of going around, we can use these handles to our advantage. So if you click and hold, I will start to drag out these handles. And this is what I'm going to do to initially start. Now, it matters which direction you are dragging, only in that the next segment of the line is going to be attached to that handle. So if you can see right here, this handle that is moving with my mouse cursor on it, that is what the next segment of the line will be attached to. So if I put it over here and I try to come over here, I'm going to get this weird little curve like that. But again, you do not have to be perfect. You just need to click and drag. That way you have some handles. Now we're going to hold the Option key on our MacBook. And if you notice right here, when I hold the Option, so I'm not holding it, I'm hovering over the handle, but when I hold it, it changes tools. And this is kind of like your anchor point tool. And you can now click and drag that handle around. And you can try to get it to match up with your paper. Now I can take this and I can preemptively try to have this go around this bend. So I know that if I click right here, then I'm going to get it attached to it down here. And I could always change that, but I could also try to grab this and try to put it around where I think it would be. Because if it's going to be attached to that, maybe if I go like that, now, so I'm a little bit off, but that's okay, because I can just grab, by holding Option, I can grab this and kind of move that around. If I hold spacebar, it becomes a hand, and I can move around the image. And I can start to get this kind of push and pull where I want it to be. If for some reason I have a point in the wrong spot, I can hold Command on the MacBook and I can actually grab that anchor point and move it. So the nice thing about the pen tool is that nothing is finalized. You can still make adjustments. You can get things where you need to be. Unlike the polygonal lasso tool, where you only have kind of the one option of either deleting the last anchor points or restarting, or maybe you could try to add to your selection. So this is kind of one of the benefits of the pen tool. So right here I can see maybe not quite exactly where I want it to be. So I can just kind of move that up. And now with 3 anchor points only, I have received, or I have gotten to the point from point A to point B where I want it to be. And then now you're just going to kind of keep on going. You're going to go around the whole book. It's always a good idea to click and hold to where at least you have some anchor points. That way you can use that to your advantage. I'm going to try right here. Maybe this doesn't work. We're going to see. So yeah, that one's probably not going to be the best spot for it. So maybe I move it over here. And then now and I'm able to move the anchor points by holding the Command button. So when you get all the way around, we're going to pretend, just for speed's sake, that this is now perfect. But I can even go all the way around, and I can still edit things afterwards. So I can actually hold Command, click on an anchor point. Now I have those handles, and I can still change those things. I can hold on Command, click on this anchor point, and I can still move things to where I need it to be. So that is another strategy that sometimes people will do. They will kind of just get a general outline and then try to change it afterwards. The pen tool can be frustrating, but it really does, just like kind of the other things in these programs, it really does it does get better the more you use it. Now right here, see I'm a little bit off. Instead of redoing all that, if I hover over the pathway, I get a little plus symbol. So now I can actually click. Now I've added an anchor point that I can now move. And then with handles, that I can move if I want it to be actually maybe a little bit better than where it was. Maybe I needed one more point there. So that is another thing that you can do. When you have gone all the way around, just like the polygonal lasso tool, when you get back to where you started, you'll see a little circle pop up. We can change that fill to be, pick a color, and then you will save this. And so if we go right here, we'll go File. We go File, we go Save. We save it onto the computer, save a copy, and now we can change that to be a JPEG. That way it's easy for me to see it when I'm grading it. I can save it. Want it to be baseline standard. Quality all the way over to the right is fine. Hit OK. Make sure you're paying attention to where you are saving it, and then turn that in. And that'll be it for this kind of little practice assignment. Thank you.